This being First Communion Sunday, my homily is basically geared up for First Communion people. Most of us here have already made our First Communion, right? Last year. What I'd like to meditate on then is basically this. Don't raise your hand, this is just a rhetorical question for you. How many of you do remember your First Communion? What it was like? What did you feel? Some people do, some people don't. And that response has nothing to do with age. I've had people over the years in their 90s say, "Father, I remember as if it was yesterday." And I had kids, 3 or 4 years after, "Oh yeah, I guess I did make my First Communion." For something to meditate on, I'd like to share with you something a retired priest said to me when I was newly ordained. And this can apply to any sacrament that we receive. I was a newly ordained priest, wet behind the ears, young, thin, naive, and impressionable. And, he was celebrating his 60th anniversary or something of such sort. And we were talking, and he told me, "Pat, I would like to give you the advice that was given to me when I was a young priest 60 years ago." He said, every time you start a new assignment, things are going to be hectic for you. Whenever you have Mass, after 60-some years like myself, it becomes old hash. What you need to do for yourself is every time you start Mass, every time you have Mass, every Mass you have the same enthusiasm that you had yesterday at my first Mass. And every Mass that you have, act as it will be the very last Mass that you will ever celebrate. Have the enthusiasm of the young and the reverence of the old. And so, as a meditation for you, when you come up for communion, is it with the vigor and nervousness as you did when you first received communion? Was there the joy and the happiness, finally I can do what everybody else is doing? Is it with the same reverence as if you were on your deathbed receiving communion for the last time, the viaticum? Or are we somewhere in the middle and basically totally forgot? Receive the Lord with vigor, with enthusiasm. Receive the Lord with respect and deep reverence.